Ashley and Greg, take one. Have a seat.
When I woke up this morning, I was definitely thinking about this interview.
I don't have any lines.
Very nervous.
All right. In those days, 20 years ago, there was no one to talk to.
The first time I considered it, I was 7 years old.
And it was the most confronting moment in my life.
I thought the best thing to do was not to be here anymore.
You just have to hold on to hope and just choose life.
Changed everything.
I feel a sense of healing for myself as well as others.
It's our story, we own it.
You have a lot of courage for reaching out.
It's inspiring, actually.
Thank you.
My journey's been worth it.
As a community, we need to talk about suicide a lot more than what we do.
If I can just help one guy prevent going through suicide or go through what I went through, then it's all worth it. Totally.
Absolutely.
You know, we're all become very accustomed to saying, "Are you okay?" But we need to be able to follow up with that, because when somebody gives us an answer, we generally already know the answer before they tell us. You know, to take that a step further and ask them, you know, are you safe? You know, have you thought about harming yourself or suicide? It's okay to ask that, because you might be the only person that asks it, and it might be that one moment that the person says, you know what, I'm not okay and I'm not safe and I do need some help.
And you don't have to be a professional, right? It costs nothing to ask someone if they're okay. I know the challenge with a lot of people in asking it is, well, what happens if that person comes back and says, well, no, I'm not. What do you do with that information? You don't have to do anything with that information. You just need to be there and let them talk. No one actually ever wants to end their life. I don't think, right?
I think one of the biggest things about depression isn't it, is that you feel a burden.
Yes.
And so you always feel like you're a negative on people. But if people come up to you and are genuinely interested in talking to you,
yeah,
you feel less burdensome.
That's right.
Because you're like, well, yeah, someone's there to lift me up, and
That's right.
I'm not a burden to that because they've come to me.
What's the hardest thing about starting a conversation with someone you're worried about?
I think the hardest part about starting a conversation with someone that I'm worried about is that I might catch them by surprise. I think a lot of people are very good at hiding how they're feeling, and for me to notice that they're not feeling well and to say, hey, you're not yourself today, or are you not feeling great today, might throw them off, and that would surprise them. But I think once they get over the initial surprise that I actually am noticing that they're not feeling well, then we can have that conversation on a level that's comfortable for them.
There was definitely times where I did feel alone, but I found people who were also part of the trans community, and speaking to them helped a lot, because they had a lot of similar experiences, and they could point me in the direction where I needed to go to get help. I probably wasn't as alone as I thought I was, but it was difficult to find people who were supportive as well, at least at first.
I don't know about you, Michelle. It's a relief.
It really is.
It's a relief to talk.
To talk about it. And once upon a time I was very sheltered and didn't want to discuss anything and kept it all into in myself. But now, since I've been so open and honest about my journey, my story, I feel a sense of healing for myself as well as others.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a part of your healing and recovery.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. That bottling things up and not being true to yourself and who you are, it's made my friendships better. I'm able to talk to others just about simple problems much easier.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard to talk. Even now, 14, 15 years later, there's times when it's hard to talk, but I know the benefits. I know the difference it makes, even just a slight conversation. You know, we talk about ourselves and what we've both been through. I know what it's changed my life, and therefore my family, my friends, and so on.
Conversations can save lives. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors, and you don't know what's happening behind the facade that they're portraying. And if you ask, a simple question of, hey, how you doing? Like, is there, anything you want to talk about? They could be, you don't know it at the time, but they could be at their lowest point. And for you to open up and talk to them and give them a reason to validate their feelings and to be able to express how they're feeling in that moment, it gives you a little bit of, I don't know if hope is the right word, but like, it kind of warms your insides to think that, someone else cares, and it's easier to be able to open up about it.
I agree, and I think conversations hopefully can save lives.